welcome to my channel Shriman Somkant. Today I will tell you the story of the novel, Great Expectations, by Charles Dickens. Once upon a time, in the marshy lands of Kent, there lived a young boy named Pip, short for Philip Pirrip, but let's face it, Pip was far more manageable. Pip was an orphan, raised by his much older sister, Mrs. Joe Gargery, who was married to Joe Gargery, the kind-hearted village blacksmith. Now, Mrs. Joe had the temper of a thunderstorm on a bad day, and poor Pip often found himself on the receiving end of her wrath, which she delivered with a ladle that was more wielded like a battle axe. One dreary day, while Pip was moping around the graveyard, contemplating the unfortunate circumstances of his life, as children often do when left alone in such places, a wild-eyed convict appeared out of nowhere. This man, with his chains rattling and his teeth gnashing like a dog trying to escape a bath, demanded Pip bring him some food and a file. Now, Pip, being a sensible boy who valued his life, nodded frantically and scampered off to pilfer some grub from the Gargery household. That night, Pip sneaked out of the house with a bit of bread, a hunk of cheese, and a mincemeat pie, and the file too. When he handed these over to the convict, the man practically inhaled the food, looking at Pip like he was a walking buffet. Pip, trying to make a quick getaway, managed to stammer, "I hope you don't mind if I leave now, sir." The convict grunted in response, too busy chomping down the pie to notice Pip's hasty retreat. Days passed, and Pip thought he had escaped that harrowing encounter until he discovered that the convict had been caught. But instead of turning Pip in, the man surprisingly confessed to stealing the food himself. Pip breathed a sigh of relief, not knowing the small act of kindness would set the stage for his great, and absurd, expectations. A few years later, Pip's monotonous life took a sudden twist when he was invited to the eerie Satis house. Now, Satis house was not your average mansion. It was owned by Miss Havisham, a woman who could only be described as the human embodiment of ghostly. Miss Havisham had been jilted at the altar decades ago and had since turned her home into a shrine of her misery, wedding cake still intact and all, albeit now home to more spiders than sugar. Miss Havisham had an adopted daughter named Estella, who was as beautiful as she was haughty. She was like a delicate flower, if that flower had thorns made of steel and an attitude to match. Pip was smitten with her at first sight, which is exactly what Miss Havisham wanted, because nothing says revenge like raising a heartbreaker to crush men's souls. Estella took every opportunity to belittle Pip, calling him a common laboring boy, and other such charming endearments. Despite this, Pip was utterly enchanted by her. He began to dream of becoming a gentleman, thinking that perhaps then Estella would see him as something more than dirt beneath her shoes. Pip's life took another unexpected turn when he received a visit from a lawyer named Mr. Jaggers. Mr. Jaggers was a man with a face so stern that even his wrinkles seemed to frown. He informed Pip that a mysterious benefactor had bequeathed him a large fortune, and he was to go to London to be trained as a gentleman. Pip, now giddy with the prospect of wealth and status, assumed that Miss Havisham was the benefactor, and that she intended him to marry Estella. Arriving in London, Pip was introduced to a cavalcade of quirky characters. First, there was Herbert Pocket, a cheerful young man who Pip had once fought as a child at Miss Havisham's house in what could only be described as the most polite duel ever. Herbert became Pip's roommate and best friend, guiding him through the intricacies of gentlemanly behavior, like how to tie a cravat without strangling oneself and which fork to use when presented with a particularly complex salad. Then there was Wemmick, Mr. Jaggers' clerk, who had a peculiar habit of living a double life. By day, Wemmick was all business, with a face as impassive as a brick wall. But by night, he transformed into the doting son of the aged parent, with whom he shared a quaint little castle, complete with a moat, drawbridge, and a garden gnome that served as the lookout. Pip found Wemmick's home life to be a charming escape from the stiff, formal world of London society. Pip's Great Expectations came with a lifestyle that required more than just lessons in manners. He soon discovered that being a gentleman was an expensive business. There were clothes to buy, dinners to host, and debts to be paid, lots of them. As Pip's bank account shrank, his ego grew, much to the disappointment of Joe, who remained back in the village, ever the humble blacksmith. Pip began to distance himself from his old life, ashamed of his roots and the people who truly cared for him. Despite his new status, Estella remained as unattainable as ever. She had grown even more beautiful and just as cold, making a sport out of breaking hearts. Pip was convinced that if he could only prove himself worthy, Estella would finally love him. But Estella, in her usual blunt manner, told Pip that she could never love him, or anyone else, for that matter. She was the ice queen of his dreams, and Pip was left out in the cold. Just when Pip thought his life couldn't get more complicated, the truth about his mysterious benefactor was revealed. It wasn't Miss Havisham who had financed his transformation into a gentleman, but the convict he had helped all those years ago, Abel Mugwitch. Yes, the same man who had gobbled down the stolen pie like it was his last meal on earth. Mugwitch had escaped from Australia, where he had been transported after being captured, and had secretly made his fortune in sheep farming. He returned to England, determined to repay Pip for his childhood kindness by making him a gentleman. Pip was horrified, not because of Mugwitch's criminal past, but because all his dreams of marrying Estella, with Miss Havisham's approval, crumbled to dust. He realized he had been living a lie, one built on the ill-gotten gains of a fugitive. Pip's initial reaction was to distance himself from Mugwitch, but he couldn't bring himself to abandon the old man who had risked everything for him. As Mugwitch lay low, trying to evade the authorities, Pip and Herbert concocted a plan to smuggle him out of the country. This was easier said than done, especially with a shady character named Compeyson, the same man who had jilted Miss Havisham, lurking around, hell-bent on seeing Mugwitch back in chains. As luck would have it, the plan went disastrously wrong. Mugwitch was captured in a dramatic riverside chase, with Compeyson meeting a watery end, though no one really mourned that. Pip, now penniless after losing all of Mugwitch's money to the crown, stood by the old man until the end. Mugwitch passed away in prison, but not before Pip told him that his daughter was alive, Estella, the very woman who had haunted Pip's dreams. This revelation brought a faint smile to Mugwitch's face as he took his last breath. With his great expectations shattered, Pip returned to his roots. He was a wiser man now, no longer ashamed of his humble beginnings. He went back to Joe and Biddy, Joe's kind-hearted wife, who had always seen the good in Pip, even when he couldn't see it himself. Joe and Biddy had married and had a little boy, whom they named Pip after their dear friend. Pip apologized for his past arrogance and sought to make amends. He worked alongside Joe in the forge, finding a sense of peace and fulfillment that money and status had never brought him. It wasn't the life he had dreamed of as a child, but it was one of contentment and true friendship. As for Estella, life hadn't been kind to her. She had married an abusive man, but after his death, she was left a lonely widow. Years later, Pip encountered her at the ruins of Satis House, now a shell of its former grandeur. Time had softened Estella, and she no longer bore the icy demeanor that had once kept everyone at arm's length. The two walked together through the old garden, where their story had begun. Though their pasts were filled with regret and unfulfilled dreams, they found solace in each other's company. And so, Pip and Estella parted as friends, perhaps not the grand ending Pip had once envisioned, but one that brought him a sense of closure and peace. Pip had learned that true gentility comes not from wealth or status, but from the kindness, humility, and strength of character that he had found within himself.